You know, the Prime Minister has kicked the right sort of comments out there, but we look and we find that still we've got the third highest taxes in the world. This kind of report shows me that the Prime Minister says one thing, the bureaucrats do another. Australians want consistency, don't they?
We would like some consistency, because generally that sort of culture, you know, it does come from the top down. You know, when we talk about Australia in the place of where we sit as far as, you know, taxation goes, it was a really interesting list actually today when I was reading that article in The Australian. And it's the countries that tax less than us are either very fiscally responsible and efficient or borderline insolvent. So we need to decide what we want to be. Preferably, my preference would be to not be insolvent. Obviously, having an insolvency background, it's not a great place to be, a la Greece. So we do need to decide what we want to be, because if we do want to have lower taxation, we need to use our money better. And ultimately, efficient. And I know efficiency is a dirty word when you mention it to government, but efficiency is really important. The Prime Minister has made a whole bunch of other very values-heavy kind of statements in the last couple of days, and particularly at that UIA dinner. And I'd like to say, Prime Minister, welcome to the party. You know, where have you been on this stuff? Yes, jobs and growth are important, but the context in which we as a country have that jobs and growth is also really important, and who we are as a nation is really important. And we do need to have more of that conversation. It does need to be more open, and then we need to have a bit of practice that goes along with the talk.
I mean, look, Evan Mulholland, this is my concern. I want to see the economy bigger, and that's the point. No more new taxes, less tax. I mean, I can't believe a year ago there were people on this network who were saying, and I had a blue with one of them and I won't name them, they said, oh, we're going to have to bring in new taxes to pay down the debt because of COVID and all this sort of stuff. I said, the last thing the economy needs is new tax. We need less tax, especially when we've got an economy that, you know, we've got such a huge, what is it, $50 billion worth of money coming out of the iron ore sector, which is going to make our budget look better than we expected. This is still a big vulnerability for us, particularly as there's new markets for China that's opening up. We do have to get our traditions, our values front and centre, and as Carolyn says, get ourselves fiscally responsible.
Well, Gary, in an economic war, we can't bank on iron ore, and that's exactly what the government's been doing to the hilt. We've seen China explore for, look for other sources of iron ore pretty aggressively, particularly in the African region. We saw last year the Republic of Congo withdraw mysteriously 3 iron ore mines that Australian companies had held. Those nations are particularly indebted to the Belt and Road Scheme. So that's all very, very worrying. And if China gets African nations iron ore by 2025, Australians should rightly be concerned. And this talk that, especially worrying talk from Josh Frydenberg, that we can go down this Keynesian economic path. We don't need austerity. We don't need economic reform. I mean, Gary and Bronwyn, you were in the Howard government that actually, loved economic reform. Was really, it was really important microeconomic reform. John Howard even went to an election on the GST and won. You can win arguments if you prosecute them. Josh Frydenberg is very good at it. He started off the year very well, talking about Reagan and Thatcher being his heroes. I think we need a little bit more of that, Josh Frydenberg.